Welcome to World Sage, where ancient wisdom meets modern insights. In the diverse cultural mosaic of ancient Rome, where myriad gods and temples dominated, Gaius Marcellus was a remarkable figure. Renowned for his wisdom and serenity, he was a sage unlike any other, dedicated to a singular, supreme God and revering prophets like Adam and Noah. This belief distinguished him in a society deeply rooted in polytheism. Gaius lived modestly on the outskirts of Rome, his home filled with scrolls detailing the teachings of monotheistic prophets. He spent his days teaching virtues like faith, integrity, and the pursuit of divine truth, contrasting sharply with his contemporaries, who debated the merits of various pagan gods. His teachings drew a wide array of followers, from those disillusioned with traditional deities to those seeking solace in the concept of a singular divine entity. His reputation for moral strength and spiritual depth not only earned him respect but also a quiet influence over the Roman populace. At one of his forums, discussing the virtuous legacy of Noah, Gaius captured the attention of Livia Drusilla. A strikingly beautiful widow with considerable wealth and status, she approached him, ostensibly seeking spiritual enlightenment. Their initial discussions, marked by Livia's keen interest and Gaius's openness, soon suggested deeper implications. As their meetings became more frequent, the dynamics hinted at worldly influences beyond mere spiritual inquiry. Livia attended his public lectures regularly, her presence as notable as the followers who hung on every word Gaius spoke. She engaged him often, probing not only the essence of his faith, but the depth of his convictions, which intrigued Gaius, as he saw in her a potential soul, earnestly seeking the light of true faith. Their discussions took place under the forum's great pillars, where they could converse at length after his followers had dispersed. Livia inquired about the nature of God, the moral lessons from the prophets' lives, and the application of these truths in complex Roman life. Gaius responded with gentle patience, citing scriptures that emphasized faith, honesty, and compassion. One afternoon, as a breeze stirred the scrolls before them, Gaius recounted Noah was a righteous man, blameless among his people, faithfully walking with God. His life shows us that even amidst widespread corruption, a devoted soul can effect significant change. Livia seemed deeply moved by his words, her gaze lingering on Gaius as he spoke. Although it appeared she was touched by his teachings, her motivations were complex, influenced by a desire for power and influence, legacies of her late husband, a senator of considerable repute. As the seasons changed, their interactions deepened. Livia invited Gaius to her villa, a place adorned with art and overlooking expansive gardens, where their conversations could explore deeper topics, away from public scrutiny. Believing in her potential for spiritual awakening, Gaius engaged in discussions about the implications of monotheistic beliefs on governance. Could a man of God not guide the moral compass of Rome? Livia asked, her eyes reflecting a calculating intensity. This question prompted Gaius to consider the potential of divine justice shaping Rome's governance, an idea both compelling and fraught with ethical considerations. My role is to serve God and impart his teachings, not to wield power, Gaius replied, pondering the ramifications. If those in power choose to listen, I will guide them. But my influence must remain spiritual, not temporal. Livia, masking her disappointment, recognized the need for patience. If she couldn't immediately sway Gaius into a political role, she would continue to weave herself into his life, gradually shaping his influence according to her designs. Marcus, Gaius's devoted disciple, began to notice a shift in the dynamics between Gaius and Livia. Concerned about the increasing focus on political matters, he approached Gaius one evening. Teacher, the discussions with Livia often touch on governance. Is it wise to entertain such topics with someone whose interests may not be solely spiritual? Gaius, reflecting the calm assurance that accompanied his faith, acknowledged Marcus's concerns. Your caution is wise, Marcus, he said. We must pray that our interactions will lead her towards genuine conversion, yet I will remain watchful of her motivations. As the relationship between Gaius and Livia deepened, their meetings increasingly addressed the political landscape of Rome, reflecting Livia's strategic push and Gaius's cautious engagement with the idea of extending his spiritual influence into political realms. Recognizing Gaius's impact on his followers and his potential to sway broader public opinion, Livia carefully crafted her conversations to highlight the moral decay of Rome's political scene. If the leaders of Rome embrace the truth of the one God as you teach, she suggested during a walk in her garden, imagine how justice could prevail over the greed and corruption that now festers at the heart of the empire. Although tempted by the prospect of a morally upright governance, Gaius remained wary of the allure of power. True change must come from within the hearts of men, he responded, his voice steady but filled with unease. It cannot be imposed from above, even by the most righteous among us. For power, when wielded without divine guidance, often leads to tyranny. Despite his reservations, the idea of his monotheistic beliefs influencing Rome's governance continued to intrigue Gaius. Livia, sensing his internal conflict, intensified her efforts, presenting appealing narratives of a unified Rome under monotheistic guidance. However, it was Marcus who brought to light concrete concerns that made Gaius reconsider Livia's motives and the nature of their evolving relationship. He had overheard a conversation between Livia and a confidante, where she spoke not of spiritual enlightenment, but of political leverage. Once Gaius steps into the political arena, his influence and his followers will be at my disposal, she had stated, her tone more calculating than converting. Alarmed, Marcus reported this to Gaius, who received the news with a heavy heart. This revelation forced him to question whether his desire to see his faith influence Roman politics had blinded him to Livia's less noble ambitions. Retreating into a period of deep prayer and reflection, Gaius sought guidance from the scriptures, pondering the stories of the prophets and seeking wisdom in their dealings with kings and rulers. His faith taught him that true leadership must be rooted in humility and service, not the pursuit of power for its own sake. This time of contemplation was crucial for Gaius. It reaffirmed his commitment to his beliefs and clarified the dangers of intertwining his spiritual mission with temporal power, especially when sought for the wrong reasons. With a clearer mind, Gaius decided to confront Livia directly about what Marcus had overheard. They met in her garden, under the fading light of dusk, the autumn air filled with the scent of falling leaves. Livia, Gaius began, his voice calm but firm. I have valued our discussions and your passion for the betterment of Rome. However, I must know if your intentions align with true spiritual renewal or with the acquisition of power. Livia, taken aback by his directness, recovered quickly. Gaius, I admit my methods may seem pragmatic, but Rome needs strong guidance. Your faith could bring about the change we desperately need. Is it not the duty of the faithful to lead when called upon? Leadership in faith is about service and sacrifice, not power or control, Gaius replied, his resolve clear. I fear that our visions for Rome diverge more than I had hoped. I seek a Rome where men are led by their conscience, not by a single leader, however righteous. The conversation grew tense, with Livia attempting to persuade Gaius of the potential good he could do from a position of power. However, Gaius remained steadfast, guided by his belief that true spiritual authority must never be compromised for temporal power. Disappointed and feeling cornered, Livia revealed her frustration. You could have been a powerful force for change, Gaius. But I see now that your fear of power will keep you and your God on the margins of where true decisions are made. Gaius, saddened but undeterred, responded, It is precisely in those margins, Livia, that true faith often finds its deepest expression. I will continue to teach and serve, as my conscience and my God dictate. With that, Gaius ended their association, leaving Livia's garden with a heavy but resolute heart. His faith had been tested, but his principles remained intact. The sage walked home under the starry sky, comforted by the conviction of his beliefs and the path laid out before him by divine providence. After his decisive confrontation with Livia, Gaius Marcellus found himself walking the quieter streets of Rome under the cover of night, each step echoing his reaffirmed commitment to his faith and his principles. The clarity that had eluded him during the months of their interaction now firmly guided his path. He understood that his role was not to seek power but to continue as a conduit of divine wisdom, influencing through teaching rather than ruling. In the days that followed, Gaius devoted himself with renewed vigor to his teachings. He gathered his followers at the break of dawn in the serene environment of his villa's gardens, discussing the events not in detail but as a philosophical and spiritual reflection. He spoke of the trials of the prophets, drawing parallels to his own experiences, emphasizing the importance of steadfastness in one's beliefs in the face of temptation. Just as Noah remained righteous in a world strayed into wickedness, and just as Adam learned from his transgression to seek forgiveness, we too must navigate our paths with both humility and resolve, Gaius told his disciples. His words resonated deeply, reinforced by the authenticity of his recent trials. His teachings on the corruption of power and the virtue of servitude gained new depth, attracting not just his usual followers but many who had heard of his principled stand against Livia's manipulations. Gaius used these gatherings to subtly disentangle himself from any perceived political ambitions, reasserting his identity as a spiritual leader. Realizing the importance of broader communication, Gaius started writing letters to other monotheistic communities across the empire. He shared his insights on the delicate balance between spiritual influence and political power, warning against the dangers of the latter overshadowing the former. His letters were well received, sparking dialogues that strengthened the networks of monotheistic believers in a predominantly polytheistic Rome. This outreach solidified a sense of community among those who often felt isolated in their beliefs, providing them with a stronger collective voice and presence. Through his reflections and teachings post-Livia, Gaius distilled several key lessons that he incorporated into his philosophical framework. He wrote extensively on the virtue of resistance, not just against external temptations, but also against the internal desires for acclaim and authority. His writings emphasize that true leadership and faith involves guiding others, not to one's own voice but towards their own understanding and connection with the divine. Gaius's experience with Livia had a profound impact on his philosophical teachings. He became a more empathetic guide, understanding that the journey to spiritual maturity often involved navigating complex and challenging situations. His own journey through the ordeal helped him articulate a more nuanced understanding of human nature, which resonated deeply with those who struggled with their own spiritual conflicts. His decision to remain apart from political power also enhanced his standing as a moral and spiritual authority. People respected him not only for his wisdom but also for his integrity in resisting the lure of power. Gaius continued to live a life of modesty and service, his reputation as a sage only growing stronger with each passing year. Years later, Gaius Marcellus remained a revered figure in the annals of Rome's diverse religious history. His teachings, especially those about the dangers of power and the importance of spiritual purity, were preserved by his disciples and passed down through generations. His story became a cornerstone lesson in monotheistic communities, cited as a powerful example of maintaining faith and integrity in the face of great temptation and potential personal gain. In his final years, Gaius often pondered the intricate dance between faith and worldly affairs. He wrote meditations on the nature of divine providence and human agency, leaving behind a rich legacy of thought that continued to inspire long after he passed. The sage's last days were spent in peaceful contemplation, surrounded by a community that revered him not only for his wisdom but for the purity of his character. His life's journey from a teacher in Rome's forums to a beacon of monotheistic faith served as a testament to the enduring power of steadfast belief and the profound impact of living one's truth in the face of adversity. With the setting sun casting long shadows over the gardens he cherished, Gaius Marcellus passed away peacefully, secure in the faith that had guided him through many trials and had brought light to many souls. A legacy, encapsulated in the scrolls and letters that bore his teachings, continued to guide and inspire, a lasting beacon of monotheistic virtue in a tumultuous world. Thank you for joining us on another journey into the past with World Sage. If today's story inspired you, please like, subscribe, and share it with others who might appreciate these timeless lessons. Don't forget to comment below with your thoughts or any wisdom you've encountered in your own life. Join us next time as we continue to explore the wisdom of the ages, bringing ancient insights into today's world. Until then, keep seeking knowledge and growing wiser every day. Farewell.